Please welcome my co-hosts, Deepika Mutyala, founder and CEO Live Tinted, Arian Simone, general partner, co-founder, and investor at the Fearless Fund. Hello again, ladies. I am so excited to be reunited with you all for the second episode of our four-part Priceless conversation series presented by Mastercard. For those of you joining us who missed the first episode, don't worry, you can catch up by heading to Create and Cultivate's YouTube channel. And to avoid missing any of the other conversations in this series, be sure to click that subscribe button. We have some exciting guests lined up that you will not want to miss. Last week we chatted about pivoting to digital, and today we're talking about all things social media marketing and branding, from beating the algorithm to influencer marketing. And I'm so excited because we have Cheryl Gearin, the EVP of North American Marketing and Communications at Mastercard, and Banan Bao, a marketing guru, investor, and author joining us. Welcome, Banan and Cheryl. So today we're going to be talking about all things marketing, social and beyond. So during COVID, prices are actually falling on social media marketing channels, which is great news for small business owners because it gives them the opportunity to reach a wider audience via Facebook or Instagram at a fraction of the cost. So how have you been approaching marketing and messaging on social media to resonate with consumers, but also sell your products and keep your business alive? Deepika, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so for us, we've always tried to make it so organic growth was the primary way of us sustaining our business. That said, what you just said is so real, and prices are low. So testing paid and performance marketing has been a big focus for us. In the beginning, when COVID happened, I was scared to do anything. I was scared to the messaging, the human aspect of what people are going through. I felt icky trying to sell people things. I was going through all those emotions, but then recognizing we have a business to run, and there was a lot of feelings that were happening. I think really leaning into me as a person, what would I want to see for my business is kind of how we led with all of our marketing efforts. And so we did up our performance marketing, but again, I mentioned, for us, it was more about how can we grow our ambassador program and really nurture this community to be our sales channel.
Yeah, Banan, how are you seeing price adjustments happen and sort of a new way of messaging during this time?
Yeah, I mean, look, to your point, prices have never been lower. So, if you have the ability and the capital, now's the time to definitely use it and deploy it. But I do think that the messaging component, I think it's really about compassion. I think it's changing, but I think it's still about compassion, but it should always be about compassion. But I think at that time it was really about compassion and saying you understand what people were going through. But I also think to what extent the products and the messaging can help, move somebody forward in their day and their life, that can actually be beneficial to them, even if it's as simple as an emotional pick-me-up and, kind of thing. So I think that that's kind of where the tone of a lot of the messaging is, or even stuff that's funny. I mean, I think you're seeing, funny stuff break through around just making fun of some of the aspects of the fact that we're all walking around wearing masks and, but I do think it has to be sensitive to the time period that we're in. But I definitely think that the channels are stronger than ever. I mean, I happen to be Chief Growth Officer of Triller, which is, a huge short form video platform, and we're just seeing growth and growth and growth. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Zoom memes have really gotten me through a lot of dark days. I will have to say for sure.
And this is a shameless plug, and I'll shut up after this. But the name of my t-shirt company was supposed to be You're on Mute. But anyway, Pepsi just did a big program with us, which was the Unmute Your Voice campaign for Rock the Vote, which I thought was really super interesting to take. That is probably the biggest cultural statement is you're on mute, and to turn that into something to say, so I thought that was super smart.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's really smart. People capitalizing on the moment for sure. So can you guys share some example of what's resonating with your audiences online when it comes to social media? I know for us, obviously, tactical information is doing really, really well for us. We've been hosting a lot of digital summits, but the top performing aspects of those summits are the workshops, which are, here's how you get into pay-to-play marketing. Here's how you up your SEO game. Here's how you create a compelling email marketing. People, I think previous to this year, were more interested in inspiration, right? They wanted to feel inspired to start their business and get out there. Now they're tell me what to do to survive. I think that's where we're seeing a lot of uptick, as well as the positivity in the quotes as well.
Yeah, for us, I think what you said is exactly right. Focusing on the pick-me-up that you can create for somebody's day. And I knew that beauty was recession proof, but I was like, is it COVID proof? Like, people are wearing masks. Are they still going to want to wear a lip product? An eye cheek lip moment is what our hero product is. And so I was really concerned. But when you really lean into this being the moment where you're taking self-care in the morning and just feeling good about yourself for your Zoom calls, that's really what we've leaned in on is, because it's the idea of essential businesses and what people really need, but more so feeling like you lean into the wants that people have also. And it's the small little wants, like a simple thing like putting on a lip product and kind of just talking about that and that emotion. That's really how we've gone about it, because at the end of the day, it is a beauty brand. Do you need it in your life? No, but does it feel good? Yes.
You're exactly right. As far as anybody with an entrepreneurial base and entrepreneurial audience, everybody wants those step-by-step tools right now. Because of course, it put a lot of people into panic mode. So it's just like, okay, how do I get out of this? That's really what everybody wanted to know. How am I going to get out of this? So where you're saying before it was more so inspirational and people wanted to be motivated, you have to have the balance of both right now. And it's truly key, because the inspiration is actually even still needed, because some days people are just like, oh gosh, how am I going to get out of this? And some days everybody's like, okay, I have on my big girl panties now, give me the steps, and I'm just going to follow the steps of what I need to get done. So I definitely agree.
Absolutely. And it was interesting because we actually polled our audience to see where they were spending, and self-care was definitely one of it. I think it was the most searched term of the summer. Online education was another one, and food, because at the end of the day, everyone's cooking at home or ordering, Instacart or getting delivery. So. And alcohol. I mean, that was mostly coming from my personal purchases, but I'm
going to tell you right now, it's alcohol, ice cream,
yeah,
and chocolate. We saw all three.
I love it. So Cheryl, why is a strong social marketing strategy essential for small businesses in a post-COVID world?
It's beyond critical. We actually did some research and among small business owners, and 76% of small business owners were actually prompted to go digital since COVID. Now, honestly, digital has been accelerating over a period of time, so it's always been important. But in the midst of COVID, it shined a light on how important it is for businesses for today and for tomorrow, for futures. And so, just back to what you were all just saying, one of the things we did is we took a step back and said, we have to be here to serve, not to sell, right? It's a different time. And so we created something called Digital Doors for small business owners. And it's a whole suite of free tools, cybersecurity for your ID theft protection as you move your businesses online, a suite of services that help you get your business running and online, and even a digital diagnostic that you simply go through, and it tells you the things that you need to be doing for your business to get online. So we've been focused on, how do we help? How do we educate, things like the digital diagnostic, and then how do we enable small businesses to thrive in an environment where it's a demand, not just for convenience anymore, but for safety. And there's never been a better time. People want to shop at small businesses, right? It's something they really desire to do and help small businesses. So it's about now giving small businesses the tools to advance this forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bonin, what advice can you share for small business owners who want to start today? what type of budget do they need? What platform should they invest in? Obviously, we saw TikTok have a massive boom at the beginning of this, and I'm interested to learn a little bit more about Triller. But where should people be spending right now?
Spend on Triller. Look, I think the biggest misconception of a lot of this is it's always, content costs a lot of money to make. I have to, use a camera guy. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the best content creators are those that are just using their phone. And when you look at, if you think about small business to business folks, and you look at folks just like Gary Vee, who's a good friend from God knows, since he had like 12 people working for him. If you look at that stuff, now look, he has a guy who follows around, but a lot of stuff he just straight to camera. But I think that one of the pieces that scare people is that it's going to be a lot. I think the first thing is really, I definitely think that starting on a TikTok, depending on the audience you want, starting on Insta is probably where most people kind of really begin. If you're a B2B, LinkedIn is a very underutilized platform. You know, if you really want culture, then come to Twitter. Come to Triller. We were just talking about Twitter. And Twitter's a good platform too, but I think the first thing is whichever platform of those you choose, I think spending time understanding who your customer are and then what are they saying in those channels. So what are the kind of things that they want to hear? What topics do they care about? And then beginning to build content around that. I look at, there was a nail salon across the street. And so the moment this hit, they, of course they went out and they could not have clients inside. So they started sticking flyers in people's doors or leaving them downstairs, get a free kit to do your nails and then, tip the person who you're going to watch on IG Live the next time around. And they built this little business and all they did was just IG Lives of like teaching people how to do nails. And who would have thought that they would do their nail, but it just like you were saying with lipstick, even though you're wearing a mask, it's that sense of beautification is not whether you're at home or not. And so it was just, and they still do it till this day, even though I'm sure their business is much bigger today than it was when COVID hit. And so I think those are the big things is listen to what people are saying, choose the platform, listen to what people are saying, and then don't be afraid to just jump in and make content, even if it's not the highest quality production on planet Earth, literally just using your phone.
Can I chime in? Because there was something he said, and he was talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. It came to my mind before he even mentioned it. And Gary always says, don't create content, just document. And as he mentioned, somebody's just following him around. People are drawn into the story of what you're building. They're drawn into the story of how you're surviving the pandemic. They're drawn into the whole life journey of what that looks like. So you're right, if you don't have the expensive camera, it's really okay. Right now, in this time, people are making commercials right off the iPhones.
Right? Big brands, we usually have major productions and we're doing, we did one of the best commercials we ever did. And it's strung together, user-generated content of showing people's dogs and how they're, you have these new coworkers, your pets at home that are your everyday life, and it was really priceless. People loved it.
Big brands are literally telling people, take your phone, send us in the video, and next thing you know, you see a whole national campaign with everybody just use their iPhone.
But also in our performance marketing tests, we're actually seeing the user-generated stuff performing better than our super produced content.
I get advertised your stuff all the time, and it's you literally just putting on it, but it's showing how it works, which I think is so important when it comes to beauty. Like
really how it works,
yeah,
not the fake version
right.
that you see on sets where it's like, I just swiped it on and everything looked amazing. It's like, no, this is truly how the product works. And I think there's something there to that methodology of like, you don't have to spend that much. And you guys know this, but I started my whole career on an iPhone video that went viral and has 10 million views. And I held it vertically, and this was on YouTube. It had the black panels on the side. 10 million people didn't care. And so I think this COVID time has forced us to go back to that mentality of like, just be real.
The other thing I think, so those who don't know, before Trill, I used to be CMO of Mondelez, which is Oreos, Wheat Thin Stride, but I was living in China and I quit so I could invest in messaging technology. In fact, I wrote a book, 646-759-1837 called Text Me, and I text with over 50,000 people. I definitely think text is underutilized, but I also, we tend to see a lot of trends come from east, west. And so messaging and text, I definitely think is massively underutilized. Every business I walk in, I say, look, you should be getting your customers' phone numbers. If you had the phone number of every single person who walked into your store, how happy would you have been during this time period, right? I tell restaurant owners, but the other piece that's coming quickly is, kind of new type QVC model. So what I was going to say is live is huge. And so to begin to do stuff live and then tell somebody, hey, text me and this is how you can purchase and connect purchase to live, or even do it in some of the platforms that have purchasing capabilities, but more of like a QVC where people know they set in to watch at a certain time. You're going to maybe give a little bit of product away, but mostly do education and training. When we had the beauty business, Sundial, we used to do that. We would do giveaway QVC type model where we would do demonstrations with the actual product and a makeup artist, and then we randomly say, hey, Johnny 1345, you're gonna get a free shampoo today, and people went crazy and loved it.
He said something very key, and everybody that's a small business owner that is listening, in your social media and marketing campaigns, you have to capture the data. We say cash is king, but in the day, data is king too, and you have to get their information. you've even mentioned before, your email list is so strong. You can always just stop and speak to your audience because you have their contact information. It's no good if you have these hundreds of thousands and millions followers, but you can't even reach anybody. You have to have their data, because what if all of that just went away one day? You need your customers' information.
Mm-hmm. And do you guys subscribe to the 80-20 rule? 80 being content that informs, educates, entertains, and 20% that sells.
I'm trying to think also on my personal channel versus the brand channel. I think for the brand, it is no. It is probably the other way around. It's 80% selling, 20%. But the 80% selling is done in an organic way where it's real people talking about it. So the sell is done in a way that I don't think a lot of brands do enough of because we're so used to being so polished. But something that was interesting is this texting thing. We're just starting to do the texting. And for me, what's tricky is as an individual, if I was texting with somebody, it's very obvious to me. You could just have a conversation and it's a real connection. But as a brand, how do you have this texting dynamic with your customers without it feeling so salesy and an ad? Like I'm curious because I would love to know.
So we have 12 texting companies that we've invested in our portfolio. So if you need a company, I got one for you. You know, I got companies, I got text companies. No, but one of them is actually a baby food business that's text to buy and text to talk, and we use it's called Tiny Organics. Full disclosure, it's my wife's business, but we use doulas to have conversations. And what's interesting is hers is baby food and it's finger food. So it's when you move off of liquids into solids. And that's a really interesting time period because the kid is learning how to eat. It's choking. Like moms are dealing with a lot of, pieces that are happening there, and there's nobody for them to go to. They already spent the last, 9 months asking their sister, their mom, and they're just tired of talking to them. So they're like, okay. And what they really wanted was just a friend to help them through feeding. And that's what we kind of do. And so we created reasons for you to interact with us, but you're still the doula says who they are. You're still a real person behind it. So I think that's where brands, in a lot of like when I look at, we have another company, one of the, it's a like electronics store, and they too, we took all of their sales reps and we put them fully on text. That's how we saved their business. The CMO says, and the sales folks are able to, they say who they are and they're able to have real conversations with the consumer and answer questions and those kind of things. So I think it's not pretending that you're the brand, knowing that you're a representative of the brand is how you have to go at it. But what's great is that you can always go back and see the conversation. So even if a different person jumps in, you still have context,
But I think this goes back again to where your customer is and what your business's focus is, because we have limited resources. There's 4 full-time people. Like having that active conversation day to day is really difficult. So for us, we've aggregated and are just excited that Shopify has this, it's called Gorgeous, and it like aggregates all of your customer service and Instagram DMs all into one place so we can talk to them, but then adding text messaging is a whole other thing.
Well, the other way you do it then is you don't tell that this is going to be a messaging channel. It's just going to be deals and offers. And so the customers that love you, you're just going to push to them. They're going to love you anyway, but this is going to generate response rates that are quicker than email.
I'm a sucker. CB2 texts me every day. I'm like, hey girl, 10% off tabletop. I'm here for it.
Do they text back or it's an offer?
They don't text back. It's just an offer.
Okay,
so I think that's a good look for you.
For a brand, sure. I think that's more, just
more
scalable and doable.
Yeah, because
call me. We've got a visually branded text message platform that makes beauty look amazing.
All right, we're gonna connect these dots. We got a lot of connections happening here today. It's awesome. So Cheryl, in a pay-to-play world, how do you grow your following organically on a shoestring budget?
I tell you, I think it does go back to knowing where your, knowing your audience, right? And what platforms are the best ones to reach your audience. Getting earned media, you have to do paid to get some earned, but getting that earned media and earned voice is really important.
Absolutely. And so obviously you talked about all the big ones, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, but what we're seeing now more, and to Bonan's point, lives, video, reels, TikTok. So video captures attention.
Twitter. No, I'm just making sure. Go ahead.
But video captures attention 5 times more than still does. So video, is a lot of work. I tried to do reels. It was a real disaster. I'm just going to say that. But are you guys doubling down on the video content side of things? Obviously, Bonan's doubling down for sure. But tell us a little bit about this growing trend, and as these platforms get more into ads and serving that community. So obviously TikTok, maybe Twitter, Gen Z, obviously, I'm seeing those ads, I'm getting served those ads from different companies, beauty companies, et cetera. So how are you guys leveraging that or informing your clients?
Prior to me even being in the venture capital space, I ran a PR marketing firm for 12 years. So this to me is just very sensitive. Right now, to buy ads, when you're talking about video, of course, Deepika's always done video, but when you're talking about paid reach, it's a very cheap way to get to a large audience right now. It's back to when it kind of like first started with the whole pay for the videos on Facebook ad thing. Right now, the per view, like that acquisition that you're gonna get off that, you're gonna convert so well. It's a very good place to pay for attention in video.
And short, bitey content is key. People's attention span is basically non-existent. It went from like, IGTV was like, wow, I can create YouTube videos on Instagram. And then it was like, then it was like, do 1 minute videos. Now it's 15-second reels. And it's like, people just have zero attention span. And I think when it goes back to the, we were talking about earlier how performance marketing and ads, the cost is so low right now. But I'm now thinking a year from now when it goes right back up because all these massive businesses are investing more in digital because they recognize they have to, it's gonna go right back up. And then what happens to my business? So I think it's really important to find that balance between paid versus the organic growth.
Yeah, and what you're gonna have to definitely do, like I keep honing in on this, is capture the data. So if you're going for the paid route, it may be because you're saying this is my giveaway and you're having people submit their email addresses, for the giveaway. So you're gonna have, even when Cheryl mentioned the influencer route, if you're using an influencer to expand your audience and exposure, do a giveaway on their platform. Now you have their data in your database.
Perfect segue. We're going to go into influencer marketing. Love it. So when COVID hit, brands suspended influencer marketing campaigns. They pulled back, but now there's been a recent resurgence. Influencer marketing firms have seen engagement on sponsored posts jump 76%, and influencer pricing has actually increased because of this. So have you guys noticed the shift? Obviously, you're an influencer and a CEO. Like, have you noticed, did you see that spike? And are you guys spending on influencer marketing?
So luckily for our business on the Live Tinted side, we have spent $0. And I think because people, who knows in the future, but because people believe so deeply in our mission, they support the brand because of what we stand for. And it's like they want to get behind us. And I feel very grateful for that. On the personal influencer side of my life, it has been a big circle. Like it was this space where people were pulling back. They wanted to completely cut it off and then they came back and then it went back to the normal rates. And now they've kind of leveled out into, we want to keep this going. It's important to keep it going. And we need to find this new baseline of, because I think a lot of brands used to experiment. They had a lump sum of money and they were like, oh, we have this amount that we can just experiment on. Now they're really pulling back, I think, looking at data and being really smart about where every dollar goes.
And I hate to pull it back to Triller, but I used to be the 7th largest media buyer in the world. So when we came over to Triller and we were bringing over, first the platform, really its ethos is to help its creators monetize their creativity. We do it with artists. So when artists' rights protected music is put up in a video, the artist is actually getting credit through a stream that counts towards charts, but also they make money. So we actually monetize the music community, trying to bring that same ethos to the influencer community. And one of the things that we just launched was a platform called Crosshype, because you're right, it was experimental, but now when marketers are in the mind of, okay, every single dollar has to count towards some impact on the other side, and I have to be able to measure it. So we launched Crosshype, which means that if you're an influencer and you work with us and we bring brand deals to you, we allow you to post on all your other channels as well, but you post on Triller, and on Triller, we will guarantee for that brand based on a negotiated CPM impressions. So they can buy influence just like they buy media with the same predictability, the same measurement, and all the components to create a package so that influencers can actually have a new way to kind of package themselves and sell themselves and ultimately monetize all the great work that you do. So anyway, sorry, another shameless plug. I'm just all day.
God dang.
You're good, man. I want to hire you to be like our CMO.
Oh my gosh. I know. Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
Like, you might have a few job offers.
Yeah. Okay,
wait, Cheryl. So how do you find influencers that speak to your brand mission and message when you work with them for Mastercard?
We've always done this. I'll go back to how we choose ambassadors. It's so important that who you're choosing embodies your values as a company. And it's funny, when we were looking at chef ambassadors, we said we're not going to go into this super high-end fine dining space. We want to go to chefs that are creating fun, priceless experiences that have a backstory that really matters and a really unique, experience in their restaurants. And we partnered with Marcus Samuelsson. And,
I love him.
I love him too.
He's great. We are focused on passion-based marketing, I have to say, and lifestyle. So we're looking at influencers that make sense, and we'll test some out, and then we'll do longer term deals with influencers that are making a difference and also totally fit our values. It's same as we do for a major sports ambassador or a music, a musician, a music artist. It's the same approach we have, and it's consistently worked. We get down to earth, real people.
I unfortunately have to bid you adieu, but it was a pleasure. Enjoy your weekend.
Texting you later.
And hopefully I'll stay in touch with all of you guys. Enjoy.
Yes.
Bye.
Take care.
So in a post-COVID world, experts predict social listening and community engagement will be key to any successful social media marketing campaign. So when your brand and business has thousands of followers on social media, how do you ensure that everyone feels seen and heard?
It's something I think about every single day, especially as a brand that stands for diversity and inclusion. It's like, it's a big thing to be a multicultural brand and have that promise to yourself and the people that are part of the community. It's huge, but I think, again, like, you have to really, I keep saying this, but the human aspect of it, and be real, and know that you can't do everything every campaign, but you can do something. And I think, like, making those improvements every single time is key, right? Like, I'll be honest, like, as a South Asian woman, I thought when I started this brand, every campaign I wanted to make sure there was a South Asian woman in it. Post-COVID world, you could have 3 people in a, you have to be safe, and we only had 3 people in the campaign, but I made sure in those 3 people, there was a plus size model, somebody who was 60 and above, and a Black woman. Like, as much diversity in who I felt like hadn't been seen in the beauty narrative was showcased. So you can't do it every single time, but every time you do it, you should try to do better.
And how do you handle negativity in the comments, which I think is something a lot of businesses are dealing with?
I cry.
Just cry it out, girl.
I take it so
out.
personally, and it's something I actually have to pull back and recognize, and this is very personal to me. It's my brand, it's my baby, and it hurts me to see people feel this way. I have to take a layer back and pull back and recognize there's a lot going on in the world. It's not personal. You have to look back on the intent of your own intent, and that's what I've been focusing on, is like, I know I'm trying my best and I'm gonna make mistakes. Take it with a grain of salt. If it's constructive, absorb it yourself and share it with the team accordingly. But otherwise, just take a big breath and know you're doing your best.
Absolutely. So social purchasing has been on the rise even before COVID-19, obviously when Instagram introduced the shopping feature. A recent survey found that 41% of consumers are currently shopping via social media, and we don't predict that trend will go away. So how are you guys turning likes and shares into dollars and cents?
I feel really fortunate that we're part of the Instagram checkout early beta test, and we've seen incredible results. It's something we want to keep growing. And again, it goes back to where you're going to put your efforts, to where your audience is. And for us, it is Instagram. And it's, to me, the future.
And a lot of people, I would say a lot of platforms have just made the accommodations for all of that. They know that people are purchasing off social media. So they know they've built more marketplaces, they've built more checkouts. They've made the adjustment because they know that's where people are buying.
Absolutely. And so when it comes to having the in-app shopping experience post-COVID, is that something you will continue on post the pandemic? Absolutely.
Right? Don't you agree? You guys have a shop now.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. And you're able to have that quick satisfaction of being able to click to buy.
Zero attention span is key.
Yes,
the world is there. Just, it's not changing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, all these behaviors were happening before. It just now got accelerated.
Yeah.
And so, these are behaviors. People are doing things more and more for safety purposes, but they're seeing how easy and convenient they are, and then they stick. And so this acceleration and all these digital ways to shop, pay, et cetera, it's going to keep advancing. And we keep track of sentiment, and it just keeps going higher and higher. So, some of this behavior is here to stay.
Absolutely, and you guys have been, first in that market of contactless payment, which now is going to be the norm.
It's critical. I mean, one of the things in social media, when you talk about content, we were so nervous about, did we talk about contactless payments? But the reality was we did it in a way that demonstrated the safety that it brought, whether, for physical in-store purchases and for people that are working in those stores. And so it was important to be able to have a feature. It was worked out in the sense that we're able to help people. We created that for convenience. It's easy, tap and go. People love it. But took on a whole new dimension when people don't want to touch anything now. So you don't have to exchange cards or anything like that with touchless payments.
Absolutely. Well, this is such an interesting conversation. There's so much to be gleaned and so much to look forward to. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sonia, and I am ready to dig into creating a personal brand and creating the mindset between personal and business, which I think is a big step in creating a personal brand. So let's dive into mindset first. It's something that a lot of people don't think about. Most likely you are sitting there going, okay, lady, I just want to know how to get as many followers as possible. Number one question that I always get. But you have to build a strong foundation for any business and for anything that you are doing. So that is why I want to talk about mindset first, because it is really, really important and something that most people do not slow down enough to take the time to think about. So what I want you to do is get in the mindset of thinking about the project, the dream, the side hustle, whatever it is that you are working on. I want you to get into the mindset that that is in fact a business. As soon as you start making money from something, as soon as you make that first dollar, you are officially a business. Most people think of businesses as big corporations with lots of employees and an office building and perks like kitchens filled with food. No, wrong. A business is something that makes money. So if you are an illustrator and you've started to sell cards and stationery and you start to make money, you're now a business. If you are a blogger or someone who has started to have influence and get paid by companies to represent their products, you're a business. So it's powerful when you switch your thinking from just being, oh, little old me trying to do something. I'm hoping that it'll work. I'm trying something on the side. I'm excited, but I'm not sure how it's going to go. No, when you switch your thinking and your mindset from being shy and nervous about something and being bold and affirmative about something, you will see what happens. It makes all the difference. And that's why switching your mindset is really important when coming up with and creating a personal brand and diving into social media marketing. So the first thing is, yes, you are a business. This is not a personal, it's not a hobby. You are doing this because you are meant to do it. This is why you're here. This is why you're watching right now, right? You are going to kill. You're going to slay. So now that you've got that mindset and you are thinking of yourself as a business, you have to create a brand Bible. I actually have a full Skillshare Originals class that talks about this. So you can Google my name and Skillshare and take that class as well once you're done watching this video for even more in-depth information about this. But too many people start businesses and the first thing they think is, oh, I got to get an Instagram account. So they get an Instagram account and they have no idea what they're doing. So again, pause. Take a moment. You need to create a brand Bible, and this is going to help you save time. It's going to help you save money down the road when you become so massive that you have to start hiring people to help you. And it's going to give you direction. And so essentially what a brand Bible is, or a style guide, is something that you can reference to help you create content and to help you remember who you are, what you stand for, what your brand is. So even in its barest bones format, basically a brand Bible or a style guide will at the very least have your main colors that you want to use. And this is really important when thinking about social media and Instagram because it's a visual medium. So you're going to think about what are the main colors that you want to use within your feed over and over and over again. Create and Cultivate does a fantastic job with this, right? You are seeing the same colors over and over again when you scroll their feed. So they clearly have been paying attention to a brand Bible when it comes to their social media. So you're thinking about colors, you're thinking about typography. If you are going to use photography with type on top of it, what does that treatment look like? Because you want to be consistent. Human beings like consistency. If you are throwing things up on your social media that look different all the time, it's hard for people to follow along. They're following you for a reason, for one thing. Maybe it's inspiration, maybe it's the beautiful products that you make. So when you suddenly post something that looks different and has not kept that style guide and that brand Bible in mind, it's not going to do well. Right? And at the end of the day, this isn't for personal satisfaction. This is for business. Y'all want to make money doing this. So get in the mindset, get your brand Bible and your style guide set, because once you do that, posting is so much easier. And then think about goals. No one ever really thinks about goals when coming up with a business or a brand, because they're so excited in creating like the products and the brand and what it is, but you need to slow down, especially when it comes to social media, which is what we're talking about here, and create metrics that are achievable. So if you start off and you have a couple hundred followers and you notice that every week you get 25 to 50 new followers, well, do some projections, right? So then you're thinking, okay, I think that I can get 100 to 200 new followers a month. And that is a goal. And that is now something that you can look at every single month. How am I doing? Am I hitting my goals? Am I doing even better? Am I not hitting my goals? And if not, then evaluate what you're doing. Maybe you're not posting enough. Maybe, right? It gives you the opportunity to analyze. But so you really want to create goals when creating your personal brand, especially on social media. And then these are just some tips that I have for actual posting in social media, because I think it's so important. So one of the most important things to think about is that you need separate accounts for your personal and your professional life. I know it seems weird because having to have two different accounts is annoying. Let me tell you, the number of founders that I have talked to over the years who started one or the other, but not both, and then years into it are like, oh my God, I can't do this. I want my own account so that my family and friends can see what I'm doing and they can see my kids growing up. And yes, I can show photos of myself on vacation and be personal, but I can't do that because I just started an Instagram account for my business. So huge tip, 2 different accounts is what you need. So the other thinking behind that is that if you are your brand, if you are an influencer, a blogger, if you are an educator and your actual personal account is more geared towards business, then by all means, that's great. And that's run with it. But most people have e-commerce businesses. Most people have a brand that is separate from their own brand. So again, that's what I'm talking to there. You need 2 different accounts. If you are just talking about your own personal brand, yeah, you can post vacation photos. You can post photos of you doing Pilates, eating yogurt, eating ice cream in your sweatpants on the sofa, because that's your brand. That is your business, right? But for everyone else, which is probably most of the population, you want to do 2 separate accounts. There's 3 quick tips that I wanted to talk about with what you are posting and what you're doing on your social media accounts. Number one, you need to provide value. I think that a lot of people forget that. But if you can provide value through your posts as a business and as a personal brand, then that's great. That's the goal, is to provide value to your customers and the people who are supporting you. The second thing is to tell your story and to inspire people. I really think that the brands out there that keep it authentic, and yes, they're selling products, but they will also tell their story. Show where the products are made, show your employees, show the behind the scenes. And yes, you can talk about the struggles sometimes that small business owners have or that you're having, but it's to inspire, right? You're interacting with people, you're engaging with people. It's called social media for a reason, which means you need to be social. It's not you just constantly selling and constantly talking to people. You want to inspire them and tell your story in order to engage with them. And the better engagement you have, the more followers you get, the more people see your posts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you want great engagement as well. And the third thing is, don't be shy to sell. What personal brand, people who have personal brands, influencers, bloggers, they're great. They are fantastic at talking about things and bringing people into their world and then selling a product. You know, it's like there's someone that I follow that does such a good job at this. She's always like making smoothies and laughing and she's so happy. And then the post, I'm reading it and I'm super engaged because it's talking about how she had a crazy morning and made this smoothie, blah, 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 blah. Well, the thing that she actually ends up talking about and selling, the product, is like a pair of socks. It has nothing to do with a smoothie or the story that she was telling, but at the end it's there. And then I am intrigued and I do want to check those socks out. So you can see how important it is when you provide value, when you tell your story, and when you engage with consumers on social media, then you can sell. And for those who make products and sell them and have e-com stores, you want to be proud of what you're doing and sell on social media. I see a lot of you being timid about that. Put a call to action in every post. Like, the whole point is that you're trying to sell products. And I also see a lot of you doing too little or too much of that, where it's 20 posts in a row is just product, 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 product. Well, where is the human being behind the product? Where are the people? Where's the mission? Why do you love doing what you're doing? So be proud to sell, be loud and proud about selling, because that's what you're here to do. You're here to make money, but also remember that you need to tell people why you love what you do so much every once in a while. So those are my tips. Get in the mindset, build your brand Bible and your style guide, which will help you immensely when it comes to posting on social media and keeping up with it, and create goals and metrics. I hope this has helped. Like I said before, I do have a whole Skillshare class on creating a brand Bible and your online presence across multiple platforms. So you can check that out. But I've loved being here. Thank you to Jacqueline and Create and Cultivate, and I will see you next time.
Now, before we wrap up today's conversations, we're going to answer some questions from our audience. Question number 1. What's your advice for not only building a following on social media, but keeping people engaged?
I think the obvious thing, but the played out thing to say, is be authentic and genuine. So I'm not gonna say that. I think the most important thing is being comfortable to pivot along with what's happening in the social media sphere. So for example, I think a lot of content creators, especially in the fashion space, were doing a lot of photos because that was the thing to do when Instagram was first in the influencer space, and now everyone's pivoting to video. You have to feel comfortable making that change as well to sort of keep that engagement alive.
I would even say at this time, something that would be very key to just building your audience on social media would be the messaging of empathy. there's just so much happening in the world right now, and there are just so many touch points where you can truly connect with your audience, where people will stay informed as long as they feel they're connected.
And I would just wrap by saying consistency is key. Showing up in the exact same way so people know what to look for when they come to your social media feed. Okay, second question. What are the top 3 actions you think have been the most impactful in successfully building a brand on social?
3, okay. Consistency. Consistency is important. It is just like you have to get a cadence together, especially for YouTube. You know, it's less about the quantity, but whenever you do it, make it almost like a program. Treat it like it's your own TV show. So consistency is important. Impactful collaborations. Doing partnerships with other people where you guys can kind of merge your audiences and cross over is really important. And what else? I'm gonna say it, being genuine. Find out, own what you are that's true to you and stick to that. And it may be different from what everyone else is doing, but that's a good thing.
It's just the reality, we're gonna have to say it, which is authenticity, consistency, and the third thing I would like to truly hone in on is just collecting the data. It's one thing to have a large social media audience, but it's another thing to actually have your customers' contact information and your audience contact information. So when you are doing your giveaways, making sure that you're saying, hey, submit your email here. So therefore you have a way to follow up and truly nurture the relationship.
I would just add cross-pollination. So to Deepika's point, finding like-minded audiences and sort of finding out how you guys can cross-pollinate your audiences to help you grow together. So I think that's so important. Okay, third question. Where is the best place to spend my limited social media marketing budget? Do I go for Facebook ads? Do I boost on Instagram? What do you recommend?
For me, it's focusing on where your audience is. And I know that's easier said than done, and sometimes it's like you have to test to figure that out, but for us, there's so many different things, and every day something new is launching. There's the TikToks, and the Pinterest is, I feel like, on its way back. And so for us, it's really focusing on Instagram because that's where our audience is.
I think that's definitely key. You have to know where your audience is. When you're looking at paid advertising, though, I wouldn't necessarily suggest a boost because it's not as strategic. You really need to fine-tune and hone in on who your audience is on the back end when you're programming ads in order for them to have an ROI for you. So I would suggest Facebook ads, and they can also show up on Instagram too, but you need to either study it so that you know that you're honing in on that audience, or hire somebody that knows how to hone in on that audience as well too.
Yeah, and I think just backing it up to what are your goals? Is your goal sales? Is it to grow your social media following? Figure out what your goal is and then map back to that to make the best informed decision. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Priceless Conversations presented by Mastercard. Be sure to join us next week for the 3rd episode in our 4-part series. We'll be talking about budgeting and rebuilding in a post-COVID world, and you will not want to miss it. If you want to re-watch this episode or catch up on the ones we've already had, head to the Create and Cultivate YouTube channel. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the conversations in the series. And if you want to learn more about how Mastercard can help your small business, please visit mastercard.com to learn more about their Digital Doors program. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.